If you were in a relationship with a woman who started to treat you really bad, despite how you were treating her and trying to make that relationship work, and at the end, she just left you in a cold way, and now you're left hurting, but you want to make sure that never happens again, then this video, my friend, is going to show you the way to ensure that the next relationship you get into is going to never have that kind of thing happen, because we're going to show you how to get in command of this kind of behavior and make sure it doesn't happen to you. So maybe right now, because that relationship that went south, you're trying to find solutions and you're feeling angry, sad, lonely, and you feel like your manhood has kind of been shattered. Yes, it hurt. It's real. What you felt and what you feel is real. At a deeper level that we don't always like to admit as guys, when this stuff happens, is sometimes we feel like she broke us. That's the story that goes on deep inside. That story that feels like she broke me, where our self-esteem and self-respect feels dead, and like no one respects it, especially that one person that we wanted to respect it. But did she really break you? I'm going to challenge you directly in this idea of a woman who can break you. Because if this woman actually broke you, you wouldn't be here at this moment trying to understand what happened. You wouldn't be searching or replaying those conversations. You wouldn't be trying to figure out where it all went wrong. You would just be done and you'd move on. But you're here. So, no, she didn't break you. What she did was wake you up to the most important thing that you needed to see within yourself. So, moving forward, this kind of shit never happens again. I know that's not what it feels like. Right now, you're confused, you're in pain, you feel like you lost something that mattered, but what actually happened was something inside of you got exposed that we didn't see before. So today we're going to talk about that, man to man. I'm Garrett. I've lived this with several anxious, avoidant type of relationship dynamics where I was the anxious person. I've been in a narcissistic relationship, so I know what it feels like. We replay everything, every conversation. We think about the text, the stuff they said to us that we didn't respond to right, and how we just think of how we should have said it, how you could have done things different. Let's be real. This relationship you had wasn't fake to you. Those were and are real feelings. The connection felt real, the moments felt real, the future that you saw felt real. And then, as you were developing that, she started to distance, was giving you confusion, mixed signals, pulling away. And now you're sitting here after she's left trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. And the easiest answers that we come up with is it's her fault. She's a bitch. She's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking or what she's doing. They're messed up people, because that's what gives us something to hold on to. But deep inside, my friend, the feeling that no one sees, that we don't let out, is that feeling of defeat, that she broke me. And my friend, that feeling, if we don't acknowledge it, is going to keep you stuck, and it's going to put you into another relationship dynamic just like that, where it's going to happen all over again. So this is where everything changes for you, because in this video, we're going to flip this whole thing on its head so you see it in a whole new light. So next time, with the next woman, you'll have an amazing relationship where she builds a relationship with you and not against you, like a woman should. So the truth, this last person did not break you. She revealed you to yourself. That anxiety you felt when she pulled away, that didn't come from her. She triggered something within you that was already there. The need to fix things, when you'd go back and repair it, to chase her, to figure it out, that didn't come from her either. That's a pattern, a program within you, a part of you that until now you weren't able to see in yourself. A part that now needs attention because it's at the surface, and we're going to blow this one wide open. And my friend, I know our ego wants to protect us from this, but we got to get past that, because that's the only thing that's going to fix this and make sure it never happens again. Not only will this restore your masculinity, it's going to restore and increase your sense of leadership, not just to yourself, but in your relationships. You will train them how to treat you and how not to treat you, and you will draw lines. She showed you how to grab the ultimate power and self-control and in your relationships. So that feeling that your stability depended on how she showed up, That's not love. That's attachment, my friend. Because if she broke you, you're a victim, but she revealed something to you that now makes you the person who can be in command and something you can actually work with. So let's get real about what actually showed up from this painful relationship. Most guys don't want to look at this, but this is what she revealed. These are tough things. Number one, what she revealed in you was insecurity, fear of loss. Some way, somehow, we needed that person to lift us up inside and make us feel like a man. And the moment she started pulling away, you felt it, right? The tightening in your chest, that feeling of urgency, like you gotta get her back and you need to hold on. And what did you do? You leaned in harder, trying to fix something that she kept breaking. You tried more, you gave more, you overlooked things normally you wouldn't have overlooked. Why? Because losing her felt bigger than losing yourself. In other words, we prioritized her over our own sense of peace. That's not her doing that. The big awakening is that's something inside of you. The second thing was your need for validation. Her attention feels good, especially when she's being all loving and what have you. This is called what it is. When she was engaged, it felt good, it felt warm, she felt present, it felt solid, you felt lifted up. But when she pulled back, you didn't just miss her, you lost your footing. Your mood shifted, your confidence dropped, it affected your work, it affected your thinking. She was taking up all this bandwidth. And your focus on moving forward in life went out the window because somewhere in you, in there, in that relationship, in her, was tied to your sense of worth and how she showed up to either reinforce it and then tear it down. So, validation. You were looking for her to raise up your sense of self-respect, self-worth, masculinity, and the leader. The third one is your lack of boundaries. You felt those moments at your core that something was off. You noticed those times when she did something where you needed to draw a line and you didn't. Maybe you tried to talk to her a little bit about it, but she pushed back. And that pushback made you back off instead of saying, wait a minute, here. Maybe it was inconsistency, maybe it was how she communicated, maybe it was how she redirected, blame shifted, whatever she did, how she handled conflict or avoided it or all of it. And what did you do? You explained it away. You gave her the benefit of the doubt over and over. That's what we do in these anxious avoidant dynamics. And somehow we tell ourselves it's not that big of a deal. We sweep it under the rug. But it was a big deal and it added up. You didn't act on it because you didn't want to lose her. That was way too important. This all is revealing attachment patterns. There's a bunch more stuff that she did that we play in our head. And she did it repeatedly. But here's the truth that we see but don't want to acknowledge. But we see it. It's the pattern of the behavior, the cycle that she keeps doing. This is all a control thing, and that's what she is working on. Now, the truth is she's not consciously doing that unless she's a narcissist. If she's an avoidant type, it's not conscious, it's subconscious, right? But this is what happens. It's keeping control, keeping distance from vulnerability while we're trying to get vulnerable. So, my friend, this stuff had to hurt to the level that is hurting now. That deep, deep loneliness, that ache, that pain. This shit, what she did had to hurt like this. Because if it didn't, you wouldn't be looking this deep. You'd be brushing off, you'd move on, and then you'd repeat the same pattern with someone else like I did in the majority of my life. Until I finally said, what the fuck is going on here? Common denominator right here, common denominator right there. It doesn't feel good, but pain forces awareness if you let that pain come to the surface. And awareness is where everything changes. That level of discomfort you're feeling right now, to try to get her back, what you want is to have her back, but you really don't if you really think about the behaviors that she did to you, that's not there to punish you. It was just there to wake you up, to show you exactly where you've been operating out of alignment with yourself. And this is the beauty of having this type of pain from a relationship that went that far south after you got that tied into it. The relationship didn't break when she pulled away, ghosted, blame shifted, dismissed, or ignored you. It wasn't when the relationship ended, no matter how it ended. The real break was every little time that you ignored yourself to keep the connection, where we allowed it to chip away instead of stopping it right there. When things didn't feel right, we might have tried to talk about it, but she pushed back, so we got quiet. We apologized. We just learned to stay quiet because she pushes back hard. So what do? We adjust our behavior. Why? To avoid losing her. Again, that's what I've said over and over. It's all about trying to get security from somebody that's not going to give you security, because we are searching to resolve something inside of us, and we're picking people that cannot resolve it because it never got resolved inside of us. So every relationship, so long as we're operating the way we've been operating, will be the same thing over and over again. And this is where you lose ground. This is where you stepped out of your own center. So no, she didn't break you. She showed you where you were willing to leave yourself. She showed you what you need to reinforce inside of yourself. So let's not look at this as something to blame. Let's see this as clarity, where we can get to the point of saying, thank you, ex-bitch girlfriend, for showing me, for revealing to me exactly what I need to see, so that the next person I get is going to be 10, 50, 100 times better than you, who's actually going to be in a relationship and wants to be in a relationship where we can have reciprocation. So what do you do with this? And this is where it actually matters. And this is where it's going to be really, really hard for you to hear. Their behavior is their behavior. And if they want to change, they'll change. But they obviously showed you that change is not in their interest. The person that has to change is you. Now we hear that and we go, well, what do I have to change? That's where that inner exploration takes place, where we have to really analyze and say, I actually did this. We have to acknowledge where we allowed them to beat us down and go through the pain of that. Go through the ego bashing that actually happened and how much it bruised our ego. Once we expose ourselves to us, as painful as it is, once we see that, then we can say, I don't want to do this anymore. When I learned about the anxious avoidant dynamic, the minute I learned about that with my last girlfriend, I said, this stops. This has been my pattern all my life. This stops today. And within 3 weeks, I was a different man. Boundaries and the relationship fell apart. But that's because I was willing to see within me and willing to change me, because that's the only thing we can change. As long as we blame them, we keep the responsibility off of ourselves for not having to do the work, or to not do the work to create the change within, so that we can see this shit coming a mile away. We take away our responsibility off ourselves for doing what must be done to ensure that it never happens again. And so few guys are willing to hear this, that they have to change because their egos are way too fucking big. Ego is necessary, but you got to know yourself, and you can't use your ego against yourself. So that's where we have to expose ourselves. It's going to be hard. You're going to cry. You have to find the right coach to help you work through it, but you got to be able to look at it. Once you look at it, then the change can take place. That means we need to look deep, and that gets really uncomfortable, but there's no way around it, my friend. None. We can sit here and point fingers at women all day long. They are what they are, but we are the ones in command of our lives and how our lives work with other people. And the more we have balance within ourselves and command ourselves, and are able to command the world around us, the better the relationships we'll have. And we'll be able to draw lines, even on unhealthy relationships, to ensure, to let them know, you are not crossing this line. It'll actually build a healthier relationship with an unhealthy relationship, or an unhealthy person. I don't like to say unhealthy person, right? Because for all the lack of health that they have, and the way that relationship dynamic went, we had the same thing because we stayed in it. So we're as unhealthy as they are in the opposite way. So there's no way around it. This cycle will continue with you until you change. And change means you need to become a different person. That's the hardest thing, because people are going, well, I like myself. Well, yourself is not making this stuff work. Your way of doing things doesn't work, and we don't even know what it is, right? So we have to learn to take our filters off. So what needs to change? Number one is start to acknowledge your own patterns. Your patterns are going back and trying to fix something that somebody broke. They're trying to over-explain your stand on something when you say, instead, when you should be saying, you did this, and this is not acceptable to me. And if this is done again, X, Y, Z. And then you say, I want to know what you think about what I just said, in whatever way you say it, right? There's no more excuses within us to allow that behavior. When we see our patterns, we can stop them. And we can also see their patterns. Part of this change is we cannot point fingers at them as the problem anymore. They are their own problem. We are the problem in our lives because we are the common denominator. So it's hard to take the finger pointing away. I'm 8 months out. I'm still upset with my ex. And there's parts of me that wishes that she would come back or that we could make things work together because there are many good things about it. But if we really unpack that thing, the stuff that we have compartmentalized, the treatment that they gave us, and the way that we felt, I don't want that shit. But you got to be willing to get back into those feelings, to justify to yourself why this is no longer acceptable to you. She gave you the gift of exposing you. The change, what needs to happen is yours. And what comes out of that is also yours. And what comes out of that is the stuff that you don't want to be yours. Like a woman who's going to ghost you, dismiss you, talk down to you, be sarcastic, call you names. What's yours, you can change. And when you do, you'll start to rebuild trust, self-trust. You start listening to yourself again. You respond to yourself instead of reacting to them. When you respond to yourself, you don't override it. You don't explain it away. You pay attention, right? And you say, why is this not feeling good? And you bring it right to the surface and right to the table. Stop that relationship, right? I actually got on dating services so I could practice this behavior, because I knew that I needed practice. So I would intentionally write dating profiles that would attract certain people, certain characteristics, people that would tend to be like that. So I could say no. And it's funny because when you start doing that, it's like, oh, wow, I see that. You get this yucky feeling in your gut. The next thing you start to do, once you start to see this pattern, you start coming up with non-negotiables automatically. What you actually need in a relationship: consistency, communication, respect, reciprocation, validation, both ways. And we stop treating those as things that are nice to have, or I hope she gives it to me eventually. If I just keep being the guy that I'm being, the guy that you've been doesn't work. These things I just said, consistency, communication, respect, validation, they must be required. And if they are not willing to step up to the plate with that, it becomes a no deal. We have to be so strong that no matter how hot she is, no matter how much you want to screw her, or even if you have and it's good sex, that stuff can override a lot of stuff in us. We have to be able to go in and say, the physical part feels really good, but it's temporary. But the personality part, the character, that's permanent, right? Until you change. Lead yourself first. With that gift that she gave you, the awareness and the changes you make inside after going through the feelings, you see that your emotional state is now your responsibility, and you own that responsibility. And how we treat it in the future, ourselves and the relationships, is also our responsibility. We don't ever hand that power over again. So, my friend, let's bring it full circle. The relationship or relationships you had where she treated you like shit, beat you down, busted up your self-respect, your manlyhood, got ruined or whatever, your sense of self-worth and leadership is busted up, and you feel like maybe deep inside she broke me. She just showed you stuff that you were asleep to parts within you. In that relationship, her behavior, it woke you up, my friend, to the greatest thing that you could ever see. It showed you exactly where lose yourself, where you overextend, where you ignore what you know. And now you not only have a choice, you start to build a standard. And you can stay in the story if you want, right? She broke you. And you'll just go through the same thing again, just like I did. Or you can use this to become the man, the leader that you were meant to be in your relationship, who never abandons his sense of leadership, manlyhood, self-respect, and you don't abandon yourself again. You command the relationships that you're in to be the way that you need them to be. That's the real shift. That's the real work. And that's where everything changes. So you, at this point, now need to take your fingers off of her and start going inward. Yes, sometimes it's going to go back to her. That's normal. You can be pissed because the shit that she did was not nice. But now, this is where we say, this was the greatest lesson in my life, and I am not going to ever tolerate this again. So I'm going to have to look inside of me, see where all those little broken screws are, and I'm going to replace them with armor plates and make sure that I am put in the right place. And you build it in a way that it's not a mean defensiveness. It's just a standard that you live by. That silent commander that will come out in a very calm way when shit happens and you say, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to explain it. It's just, this is who I am. You can take it or leave it, and you're more than welcome to leave it. If this video gave you some insight and helped you to see the gift that she gave you by treating you like crap and got you to a point where you're looking at videos like this and to grow, to be the man you're meant to be, and knowing that you now have a choice, that it's time to start changing, then subscribe to the channel, because I am all about you becoming the real man that you were meant to be. Subscribe, and if you know somebody who might need this video, this little awakening, then pass it on to them.